Hey guys, welcome you all in T3P Technology to the Point. In this video, we will talk about few more services which is part of Azure Fundamental Exam. As I promised that we will talk about 103 services in whole series. We have already talked about the domain one where we talked about 16 services or the term which is part of Azure cloud concept. Now this is the second part where we will talk about the core services here. Okay, so in this one talk about 26 services here in this section, or we can say in this part. So if you have not gone through the first section, or the we can say the first domain, and you want to learn more about the cloud concept, you can go through them. If you don't, if you just want to understand the core services which is part of Azure fundamental, then you're welcome here. So let's see what we have in this video. So guys, as we already discussed that this particular certification is having six domain. We have already discussed the cloud concept. Now we will talk about the core Azure services. That covers almost 15 to 20%, and in this one we will talk about 26 services or the terms what we can say. So let's talk about this particular domain that core Azure services is divided into two sections. First, we will talk about the core Azure architectural component where we will talk about regions, availability zone, resource group, subscription management group, ARM, and Azure resources. Then we have the second section in which we will talk about core resources available in Azure, where we will talk about the computing resources like VM, Kubernetes services, and all. Then we will go through the network resources, network services. Then we will go through the storage. Then we will cover the database. And in the last, we will talk about the Azure Marketplace. So let's go through them one by one. So first, let's start with the first section. In this one, we will talk about this, which I already discussed. So let's see. First, let's start with the region. If we will talk in one liner, what is the region? Region is a geographical area on the planet that is having at least one data center. That data center is known as availability zone. Okay, so that is the things, and then we will talk about the geographies. Geography is typically contain two or more regions. See, we can have, like, if we will talk about geographies in general, which is like America, Europe, Asia Pacific, Middle East, Africa. These are known as geography in Azure, and the geography typically contains two or more regions. Okay, so if we will talk about the Asia Pacific, like, then they can have like Asia 1A, 1B, 1C, like this one. So we can have two or more regions inside the geographies. So geographies contains the region pairs that we know, that is the like 1A and 1B. Like these are the regions, separate regions, and when we it comes together, it's known as region pairs, and it will be inside the geographies. So geography here will be Asia. So this is just for an example, just to understand these things. When we will talk about the region pairs, okay, so region pairs, it's paired with another region. One region is paired with another region which is having at least 300 miles away. Okay, that is the common distance we talk in the cloud technology when we talk about the two different regions within the same geography. So those work together. So let's talk about next concept, that is availability zone. As we already discussed, that if we have one particular region that can have multiple availability zone. So what availability zone help us? So it's help us in providing high availability, okay, that protects our application and the data from our, if any data center get failed. So logically a data center, that physical data center is known as availability zone. But in this particular availability zone, that is made up of update domains and the fault domains, and it provides 99.95% of SLA because of this. So how these are distinguished between each other, right? So it can be AZ1, AZ2, AZ3. See, sometimes we can have the failure. Okay, so one AZ is not available, then the services which is running on this one can move to this one. Sometimes we have the plant maintenance as well, if they are upgrading something or patching their components. Okay, so in that case also it helps us. So we will get normal such kind of scenario in question, like if what help us, which components help us in Azure if any data centers get failed. So in that case, this availability zone help us in that case. Let's talk about next concept, that is the resource group. A resource group is like a container that holds related resources for Azure solution. See, you can have multi type of services or the component in your Azure, right? You have some networking component, you can have some storage component, you can have the VMs. Okay, so either you can keep the same kind of resources like RG1 in this one, storage resources in RG2 or RG3, or also you can create the resource group in terms of your department wise. Suppose one department is using one component of this, one component of this, that can also have some means grouping of logical grouping, we can say here. Okay, so how it helps us. Okay, so in the resource group we can move Azure resources one subscription to another subscription as well. As you know, when you create any resources, you have the Azure account. Okay, Azure account can have one or multiple subscription, one or many, and these resources can move from one subscription to another subscription as well. And one more thing, if you provide any kind of permission on your resource group, okay, that will automatically inherit to the Azure resources as well. Also you can get the questions like, if you delete resource group, will the resources inside those resource group will be deleted? Yes, that is true. If you will remove it, then the resources inside that one can be deleted, will be deleted. To protect your resources from the resource group, we can enable locks here, like delete lock is there, read only lock is there. So there are multiple locks are there to prevent such accidental deletion. Now let's talk about the subscription. The Azure account is a global unique entity that gets you access to the Azure services, also to the Azure subscription. So we can have one account. What it will help us, it we can have the access to the services, also we can have the access to the subscriptions. Okay, it can have one or many. Similarly, we can have multiple services as well. So what subscription help us? Okay, so as I already mentioned that we can create multiple subscription within under one Azure account. Also, we can get an Azure subscription automatically when we sign up for Azure or any resources we create inside our subscription. Okay, subscription also help us wherever we want to have some logical grouping of Azure resources. So it will help us in billing purpose as well. Okay, so we can understand, okay, my service resources belongs to this particular subscription. What amount we need to pay, or we can predict the amount on the basis of the services within that particular subscription. So it can help us for uh, billing as well. Let's talk about next concept. It's a management group. So management group allow us to organize our subscription and apply governance control such as Azure policy, role based access control to the management group. So it's normally for management purpose we use it, where we can easily apply the Azure policies or the role based access controls. Similarly, mm, whatever resources, okay, all the management groups with see, we can have one subscription, right? Inside that subscription, we can have multiple managed groups as well. So whatever permission we apply here, it will automatically inherit on the management groups as well. So it doesn't matter that if we have an enterprise agreement or certified solution partner, or we are using the services like pay as you go model. Any type of subscription we can have. So this service gives us all Azure customers enterprise grade management. Okay, so it's not depend on the subscription type, so we will get similar functionality under each type of agreement. Let's talk about the very important concept, that is Azure Resource Manager. Okay, so as the terms define that it's used for the management of the Azure resources. So let's talk about the definition. Azure Resource Management is the deployment and management service for Azure. It provides a management layer that enables us to create, update, and delete resources in our Azure account. As you know that we use management feature like ACL access controls, or the logs, or tags, right, to secure and organize our resources after the deployment. So whenever any user sends a request from any of the Azure tools or API or SDKs, resource manager receives the request, and then it will help us to authenticate and authorize as well that particular request. So suppose you have one Azure Resource Manager, okay. See your how you can request the resources. You can request the resources through the console, or we can say the portal. We can request through the PowerShells, and there are other matter like CLI or the APIs. So these are few methods by which we can request the resources. So what this ARM do? It authenticate authenticate and then also it will authorize. Suppose you are looking for storage, okay, there is some data store, you have your user, okay, this is the user, this is trying to access this particular resource through this one. So this ARM will help you to authenticate this user. Also it will help us to authorize. Authorization, as you know, it will check if this particular user is having access to this one. So ARM can help us in that way as well. Either this resource can be anything, either it is storage or the virtual machine or the web application, whatever it is, but ARM help us to authenticate and authorize those requests. So it's a kind of a management layer, and it helps us to create, update, or delete resources in your Azure account as mentioned in the definition. Now, this is the last term of this particular section, that is Azure resources that are manageable items that's available through Azure. Okay, so these resources are like virtual machine, storage account, web application, databases, virtual networks. These all the services which we are seeing inside the Azure is known as Azure resources. So this is what we have in first section. Let's talk about the next section of this particular domain, where we will talk about core resources available in Azure. So if we will talk about here, we will talk about the compute, network, storage, database, and Azure marketplace. So let's go through them each and every services one by one. First we have the virtual machine. Okay, so as you all know about the virtual machine, what exactly it is? It is like virtually hosted on a physical host, that particular computing machine. So in other term, if we will go with the definition, then a virtual machine is a software based computer that's run on physical computer. Okay, and this physical computer is known as host, and it provides the underlying physical components such as disk space. See, whatever this virtual machine required, either it is storage or the network. See, this is just a software based computer, but it will use your host. Okay, this is your physical host. On that there is some virtualization layer, hypervisor layer is there. What this hypervisor layer do, it will abstract this host. Okay, abstraction is just to divide or split this particular host and will create VMs on that one virtual machine. So this is what we have, and it is based on we can't give the resources more than this particular host. That's keep in mind. So on this particular VM we can install our required OS, then we can install and configure our application top of that particular operating system. So this is the normal architecture of virtual machine, how it is related with the host, who divide us, who help us to create the virtual machine, that is hypervisor. We in VMware case we have the ESXi. If we will talk about the Microsoft, here we have the Hyper-V. Let's talk about next service, that is Azure App Service. Azure App Service is PaaS. Yes, if we will talk about the virtual machine, this is known as infrastructure as a service. Okay, here we have the Azure App Service, that is the PaaS, that is platform as a service offering in Azure, that is help us for hosting the websites. Okay, so also in addition to basic web hosting services, app service also offers many additional features. Okay, so we can easily add to our web application. Also we can flip off a switch within the Azure portal. So whenever we create a web application in Azure App Service, your app run on Azure Virtual Machine. So whenever see, whenever where we can run our application, you know that for that we require some operating system on which we can host it. So how it is configured? You have the underlying host. Okay, on top of that there is hypervisor, like I showed you in previous slide. Then we have the virtual machine. On this one there is OS. After that you can you configure your app service here. As you know, this is managed by the cloud service provider in case of platform as a service. Okay, and this one you need to manage. Next we have Azure Container Instances. Okay, in short we known as ACI. Azure Container Instances is a PaaS offering that offers the ability to run a containerized application easily. See, we have understood how the application run on virtual machine. Let's understand how containers works. See, container is a standard package in which we have the required file from the operating system and also the applications required library, so that can run your application independently. So what your container is having, let's understand what is container. Okay, container is having required operating system files and the library for your application. So whenever we initiate this container, your application will run independently. So how this container is run in normal environment? See, you have the host operating system. Okay, sorry, host, that is the physical server you are having. In virtualization, what we use hypervisor, right? Similarly here we use hypervisor, but here we have the option that we can run directly container runtime engine, that is known as CRE. We can directly run this container runtime. You have heard about the Docker for that one, so it helps us. That is container runtime, which help us to initiate the containers and run the containers. Um, so we can run this container runtime directly on host as well. Also, we can install the operating system on that one. On top of that, we can run this container runtime. So what it do here, what we can run the container here. Suppose container 1 C1, similarly we have C2. So if we will talk about the virtual machine, what it do, this virtual machine is splitted the host. Okay, suppose if you have a host of 2 CPU and 4 GB of RAM, okay, then you can create two virtual machine of 1 CPU and 2 GB of RAM, not more than that, right? Similarly, what happens here in virtual machine, we are splitting or abstracting the host. Okay, here what the container do, it abstract the operating system. Okay, so it abstract the operating system, so it's independent run on this particular host. So container is OS abstraction. So if you want to learn more about the container, I have a video in my playlist under the containers or the Kubernetes or Docker. You can go through them to understand more detail about the container. But just to understand that in the VM case, it is hardware abstraction or the host abstraction is there. Here where this particular container abstract the operating system, so it has the full host there. So we have full resources. This particular container can utilize whole resources of the host. Similarly, this container can also use the all resources of your host. But in virtual machine, we can't do that one because it's already splitted the host there. Let's talk about next thing, that is Azure Kubernetes services. As we know, Kubernetes is a orchestration service for the containers, right? So let's understand. So AKS, that is Azure Kubernetes service, offers serverless Kubernetes, which is an integrated continuous integration or continuous delivery. Okay, CI/CD pipeline experience and enterprise grade security and governance. Also, it's a high available, secure and fully managed Kubernetes service. Okay, so what it actually do, it manages or orchestrate the containers. Okay, So normally in Kubernetes cluster, we have two kinds of node, like one is master, then we have the worker node. Okay, so master node is used for management purpose, or it is having multiple components inside that one. We have the key store database there, we have the engine there, we have the controller there, everything. The management component reside inside this one. Inside worker nodes we have the pods. Okay, inside that pods our containers run. So similarly in we can have multiple worker nodes. Similarly we can have multiple master node, but at a time one will be active to manage the things for these containers. Now our target is always to run our applications on those applications can be run on your virtual machine, your physical server, or the container. So this is like we have some cluster or load balancer, right? Similarly we have for to manage containers we have the Kubernetes services. I'll talk about the Kubernetes in details in my upcoming videos, but for the timing, just understand that Kubernetes have two kinds of nodes. One is master node, then we have worker nodes. On the worker nodes, actually the application runs inside the container. On the master node, only the management related components work. We can have the scenario where we have only one node. On that one we can have the master and worker node together, everything can run on that one. But in ideal scenario, or we can say the best practices, we use different nodes for that one. One is for admin purpose, or we can say the management purpose, and this one is for executing or running our application. Okay, so this is version this is about the Azure Kubernetes services. Let's talk about next service. That is Windows Virtual Desktop. So Windows Virtual Desktop is a desktop and app virtualization service that's run on the cloud. So right now you know that many organizations offering work from home, okay, and they want that their employees should have same kind of configuration for their machine. Also, they don't want that your physical machine should have mm, the required application and all. For that one they use Windows Virtual Desktop. So that can be used as a sharing basis as well. Similarly, also you can have your own virtual desktop. It's easy to create and easy to delete as well, means the decommission. So management of these things are very easy. Also it's cost effective, like we don't require multiple licenses for your operating system and all. But when you go with a separate machine, means the physical computer or the laptop, you require the separate licensing. So there is cheapest cost for this one, so it's more cost effective as well. So this is not very much important in on this particular exam, but just understand it's like a virtual desktop. We can run multiple desktop inside one desktop, right? So that is the Windows Virtual Desktop. Now very important part, that is the networking component we will talk about. First we will start with the Azure Virtual Network. In this one in Azure we know as VNet, in AWS like VPC, Virtual Private Cloud. Similarly we have virtual network. So what virtual network do? It's allow Azure services to communicate with each other and also to the host or the devices to the internet. See, you have your Azure here, Azure resources here. Inside that one you have the virtual network. you can have other virtual network as well. Inside one region also you can have multiple. So what it do, virtual network help us to communicate your resources with each other. Okay, also if you have the resources or machine over the internet, it can also help to communicate with these one. It can be internet, and also you can have your on-prem infrastructure. So network always help to communicate two devices where so in this case wherever your devices are, these virtual network will help you to communicate with each other. Now let's talk about the Azure VPN. Azure Virtual Network offers the ability to communicate to your on-prem network using virtual private network connection, and many customers use this method to connect on-premises resources to Azure. See, you are having your on-prem infrastructure, right? Your organization infrastructure. Now you want to use the Azure resources. So you can, how you can communicate? You can set up a VPN here, and you can through the VPN gateway. Obviously, one gateway is required to have connection between two kinds of setup. So in this case, we use VPN, that is Azure VPN, and but there is some limitation here. What happens? Your connection is going through the internet. Just understand this thing because it is very much required in case of exam. So in VPN case, our data or the traffic travels through the internet, but it's secure. It's there is a tunnel between this one. The data is secure, but the thing is it travels through the internet. Second thing, we can have maximum 1.25 Gbps speed here. That is the maximum speed we can get it for our traffic travel, data travel. Now let's talk about next component, that is express route. See, in express route what is happening, it is used to create private connection between Azure data center and infrastructure or your on your premises or in a co-location environment. Just understand, like previous example, we have the on-prem, then we have the Azure. Okay, now you want to connect this particular services, right? Azure to your on-prem. So in this case, if you want high speed, just understand these words, high speed connection, similarly what we have in our LAN connection, right? Similar office. So it's like extending our infrastructure. So you will have a dedicated connection here. So it will be higher speed and it can have up to 10 Gbps. Okay, so the connection what here we are getting, it's a dedicated fiber optics connection. Fiber optics connection. Also, as it's extended our network or the infrastructure or environment to Azure, now we will have the high speed, that is up to 10 Gbps. We have the dedicated fiber optics. So it's here the thing is our data will not travel through the internet. So that's important in terms of exam. So in this case our data don't travel through the internet, so there is no internet connection there come into picture. If we will talk about the pricing wise, there is no upfront cost, there is no termination cost, also pay only for what we use it. So in general, how this connection works. See, you have your on-prem infrastructure, okay? Here we have the Azure, but how the do you think that this connection is directly like fiber optics? No, there is something like service provider is there, okay? Also, we have some MSEE, that is Microsoft Enterprise Edge Router. Okay, so first our connection will build through here and here to here. Our data travels like this way. Similarly, when we get back the request, it will go in this way. So this is what we have in express route. Let's talk about one more thing, that is VPN gateway. See, a VPN gateway is a specific type of virtual network gateway that is used to send encrypted traffic between an Azure virtual network and on-prem location over the public internet. Like it's like VPN. So when the question will come like, which gateway will be used when you connect your on-prem infrastructure to the Azure, where data travels through the internet, your traffic travels through the internet. In this case, we will use VPN gateway. Whenever it says the data or traffic should not travel through the internet, we will use express route gateway. Now we will talk about the virtual network peering. So what is the network virtual peering? See, we can have, okay, it is, we have one region, okay. Inside that region we have VPN1, sorry, VNet1, virtual private network 1, virtual network 2. We have two different networks. So there, to communicate between, see, this is logically separated, but when you need to connect these devices with each other, we require some kind of peering. So once we have set up a peering, then our data travels very quickly. It's like extending our network to the different networks, so it will be more. Similarly, so we have two types of peering. One is virtual network peering, that's normally connects network between the same Azure region. So this is, we have the region, we have two virtual network here. Whenever we suppose we have one more region, that is region 2. Now we want to communicate this particular device, that is VNet 3, to this one. In this one, whatever peering is known as, that is global virtual network peering. So this is what we have in virtual network peering. So now we understood what actually the network peering is, what is local, and what is global network peering. So there are some benefits as well. When we do this peering, we can have the connection like low latency connection. It's a high bandwidth connection between the resources between two virtual networks. Let's talk about next service, that is container blob storage. Okay, so the thing is, Azure Blob Storage is designed for storing unstructured data. So unstructured data means there is no definition, schema definition is there, and this data can be anything like text, images, graphs, and videos. So these type of data comes under unstructured data. So it is known as blob storage. So blob storage is designed for storing unstructured data, that we understood, and this data can be anything, and the entity stored in this particular blob storage is referred as a blob. So whatever data you are putting like text, image, video, document, anything, that will be referred as a blob. So we can have three kinds of blob storage. One is blob. That means it is used to store files used as an application. We have understood what a blob is. If we will talk about the append blobs are the specialized for append operation. For that reason, we are often used to store constantly updated data like diagnostic logs, like logs generated again and again, right? That kind of data is known as uh, where we will store it, that is known as append blob. Next, we have the page blob. So it is mainly used to store virtual hard disk files that are used in virtual machines. So it is used for virtual machines hard disk like VHDs we can say. It is used for logs and all, and it's like general documents and all, text doc and all. So we have blob, append and page blob. Next storage is a disk storage. It's if we will talk about disk storage in Azure, that refers a disk that are used in virtual machines. See, whenever we create one VM, right, there is automatically one storage or hard disk is assigned to this one, where our operating systems and all installed, right? So whenever we create virtual machine, Azure creates a disk that is automatically designed for temporary storage when you create a VM. Okay, that means that the data which is having on this particular disk will be lost if there is a maintenance event on this particular VM. Also, if we need to store data for a longer period of time, that will persist between VM deployment and maintenance event, we use a disk using a image stored in Azure storage. So we, for that purpose, we use Azure storage. So Azure disks are available as both, like these disk storage can be both kind of. We can have the hard drives, hard drive disk, and we can have solid drive disk, that is SSD. So if we want high speed transaction and all, we use SSD, and HDD is known as for low speed comparatively, because it's a magnetic disk, it's a solid disk. Next storage, we have the Azure files. In simple term, we can use Azure file storage as a drive from which to share files. Okay, see, whenever we require just to mapping, okay, so we can use this Azure files to map a drive, like you are running a virtual machine or any physical component here on your on-prem infrastructure. Okay, there is your virtual machine, for example, you want to add storage. Okay, so without maintaining anything, what you can do, you can just use this Azure storage from Azure, and you can use that particular storage here, just like mapping a drive. So that is known as Azure file storage. So Azure file share are backed by Azure storage. So we need a storage account to create an Azure file. So whenever we need to create Azure file storage, we need a storage account for that one. Then only we can create it. Next, we have the storage tiering. So Azure storage offer different access tiers. Okay, we have different kind of access requirement in our environment. So what it happens, it allow you to store blob object data in the most cost effective manner. So it's all based on the requirement how you want to access your data. If you want frequently accessed, okay, so in this case what you will use, you will use hot hot storage tiering. In this case, it is bit costly in comparison to others too. When we will talk about the cool storage tiering, that means that it is optimized for storing data that is infrequently accessed, not immediately, not frequently, and but it should need to be stored at least 30 days. So there is requirement this data need to be stored for 30 days. In the last, we have the archive that is mainly used for archiving purpose, where we know not required to access data frequently, or we can say the backup purpose we can use it, but there is requirement it need to be stored at least 180 days. So if we will talk about the hot one, that where we access the data frequently, or we can say so often. In the cool, we don't access the data infrequently, and it's required at least it should stay, we store this data for 30 days. For archiving, we can't access this data immediately, okay, and it is used for backup purpose and all. So this is what we had in storage. Now we will talk about some database services. So first we have the Azure Cosmos DB. So Azure Cosmos DB is fully managed NoSQL database for modern app development. See, there are database which is relational, or we can say non-relational also. So we can have two kinds of database. Okay, so this is known as NoSQL database. That means it is not relational. Okay, not relational. That means that you are not logged into a schema for your data. Whenever we talk about the relational database, that means we are storing our data into tables, so where we can use some specific schema, and where we can use one data is related to other data. So there are four kinds of NoSQL database systems, that is key value, column, document, and graph. Just it is for your information. Normally we don't get questions from this one. We will get like we require a NoSQL database that is fully managed, something like that. So in that case, we will use Azure Cosmos DB. Let's talk about next, that is Azure SQL database. Yes, you will definitely get one or two questions from this one. So to understand that one, Azure SQL database is a PaaS offering, that is platform as a service offering for SQL Server database hosting. Also, in this case, what happens? Microsoft manages the platform, so you no need to worry about your database and the data in it. So Microsoft manages the platform here, as it is platform as a service, and this is known as relational database. That is made up of tables of data. When I am saying the relational database and it is stored in tables, suppose you are inserting the details of some candidates. Okay, so you can have his employee number, or you can have his name, you can have his contact detail, and also these are related to particular candidate. Similarly, we can have the details of employees as well. So wherever we require such kind of details, we use tables, right? That means we are using relational database in that case. So next we have Azure database for MySQL. So if we will talk about Azure data for MySQL, it is easy to set up, operate, and scale. Also, we enjoy the advanced security and high availability, that is 99.99. That is maximum what Azure provides for any service. And we have a choice of single zone or zone redundant high availability. That means we can have the choice, either we can keep our database into one particular zone, or we can have multiple zone. That is based on our applications requirement. If you let me share some tips about the exam. Okay, so they can ask like Azure database for MySQL secures your data at rest and as well as in motion. So they can ask in this way. Next we have Azure database for PostgreSQL. So it is also a relational and open source database system. So normally, if I'll talk about the PostgreSQL, okay, it was initially designed to run only on Unix and Linux, but now it is available for Mac OS as well, Linux that is already there, and also we can run this one on Windows as well. So Azure database for PostgreSQL is a managed version of PostgreSQL in Azure. As we already talked about Azure database for MySQL, right? So similarly, Azure SQL database for Postgre allows us to utilize a powerful database system without having to manage the server, database security, performance, and other administrative tasks. That means it is also a platform as a service offering. Here, everything is done by the cloud service provider. Next topic. This is the last topic of this particular domain. So, what we have the Azure Marketplace. See, an Azure Marketplace is an online catalog that contains thousands of applications and services designed and optimized to run on Microsoft Azure public cloud. So, who is responsible for these services and all? Microsoft and its technology partners are responsible for developing the products and services you find it in Azure Marketplace. See, we have already learned about many of the products and the services available in Azure, but there are many available products which is also outside what we have discussed here. So that is not only Microsoft offer many additional services, but third-party vendors also provide a variety of services that can help you while building or configuring your environment with Azure. So there are some third-party tools as well. How you can access those tools which is not part of Azure, we access those tools and services through the Azure Marketplace. So guys, that's it we have in this video. I hope this video is helpful for you to understand more about the core services in Azure. So thank you for watching once again. Subscribe for more videos. See you in next video.